We welcome you. A lot of you, if you got to come out last night in Edinburg, they had a lot of festivities going on with a lot of kids. They had art and music and even some dancing and costume contests, so it was a lot of fun. Especially after the sun went down, it wasn't quite as hot outside. So we welcome you to the 2014 Edinburg Out of This World Conference. And we have a lot of interesting topics that we'll be presenting to you today. And so we'll go ahead and get started. Now, first of all, we're going to talk about a mystery that's more astonishing than any Indiana Jones movie. A strange skull found in a cave in northern Mexico many years ago. And it doesn't look human at all. Nor does it look like any other creature native to the earth. Could this be proof that our planet has been visited by extraterrestrials in our past? Is this a smoking gun that UFO researchers have been seeking for decades? Over time, the skull has come into the possession of El Paso neonatal nurse Melanie Young, who has been studying it for many years and will be our first presenter today. Now get ready to hear an amazing tale of adventure and suspense that is certainly stranger than fiction. The mystery of the Starchild Skull. Melanie?
Thank you very much. I'm just going to hold the mic. Yes, I am Melanie Young. I'm from El Paso, Texas. I am a neonatal nurse. I have had about 15 to 20 years worth of experience working in the intensive care nursery in El Paso at a teaching facility. So what? That has given me access to hundreds of thousands of different genetic disorders of children. So that is the main reason why this skull was given to me, because the person who found it thought, it's deformity, what do you think? So this is what I found. This is what I saw when I opened a box. A cardboard box that had been sitting in somebody's garage since 1930. I looked at that and thought, I have no idea. Never seen anything like it before in my life. And it wasn't in any textbooks that we were teaching to the medical students. So they never seen anything like it before. So where did it come from? It came from a city, the story goes, outside of Delicias, Mexico, in the Chihuahuan Desert, which is close to the Copper Canyon region. Now the woman who got it, the story I've heard, found it in a tunnel. Now this is back in the 1930s. Mexico was not the safest place to be in tunnels, mine shafts, bandidos around. So they were told, she went to go visit family, and she was told not to wander off into the mountains and definitely not to go in tunnels or caves because it wasn't safe. Anybody here teenagers? Okay, so what are you going to do? So what she did, she went into the caves and to explore this mine shaft. And this is what she found. Laying on top of the ground, she found a normal human skeleton, the entire skeleton, which, of course, probably freaked her out. And then, but she noticed that there was a small mound next to it. And sticking out of that small mound was an extremely deformed hand that was wrapped around the arm of the normal human skeleton. So that kind of tells me, the romantic that I am, that this is a very tender moment. Evidently, the skeleton that was laying on top had some feelings for the one that she buried. Therefore, she laid down and died after she buried him. That's just my story. I have no clue, but that's one I like. Okay, so she dug up the small mound and found this small, totally misshapen skeleton and skull. 13-year-old, what do? I'm taking this puppy home. So she collected everything, put it in a basket, took it back to the house. Not supposed to be there. So what does she do? Hides it outside, underneath a tree. Now, we live in the valley. We know what rainstorms can do. So they had a flood, and it got washed down the arroyo. And the next morning, there was nothing left, and as all she could find were the 2 skulls. Okay? So, one skull, one skeleton on top, one underneath. She dug them up. And all she could find were the 2 skulls and the teeth. Now, you'll notice that the bottom teeth are not there. Normally, when a body is decomping, the bottom teeth is not attached to the skull. It's attached by bones, by muscle tissue. So that got washed away. But the top teeth were still there. Okay? So I get it in a box. The question I had is, okay, now what do I do with it? Do I leave it in the box in my garage for another 30 years? Or, first I thought, this is either a major deformity, never seen before, and it makes a major historical value. So we need to do research on it to find out what it is, what kind of genetic deformity is. Get my name in the textbooks. That's really cool. Or, it could be an alien hybrid. Because back in that day, and to this day, we're all talking about humans being probed and making babies and all that cool stuff. Rage of the UFO community. I knew that it was bone, so it has some properties of humans, so I thought, well, maybe it's a hybrid. Well, hello government. Don't have this anymore. Still requiring more research. Okay? Major historical value. Takes Roswell way out of the picture now. Now we have something that we can show besides the ship. Or it could be a complete new species, an alien, which is, again, a major find, major historical value. Do you really think I'm going to leave this in a box? But I didn't know what to do with it. So, research is what we have to do. I had no idea where to go with it. So how do I do it? Who do I call? When do we do it? And where do we do it? I had no idea. So what I did is I took it to our local MUFON people. And MUFON is Mutual UFO Network. And that's where they scientifically try to prove sightings, abductions, that type of stuff. They turned me, led me to Lloyd Pye, who is a researcher. He's since passed on. But his major research at that point was into hominoids, Bigfoot. And he told me what his plan was if he had ever found a hominoid, a Bigfoot, a Yeti. And that plan was right along where this needed to go. So we were right in his field, and he happened to be in my backyard doing a lecture. I met him. He did his lecture. 2 hours later, I gave him the skull to start the project. Okay? So we started right then and there. He took it to the International UFO Congress, and we brought it out to the public that weekend. So, what makes this so unusual? The external shape was the major thing. Now, the top one that you're seeing is the normal human skull that was found with it. The bottom one is the Starchild. Take a moment. You see any differences? We're going to go into each one. There are 24 differences between the two. Okay? First, the biochemical signature. It's richer in collagen, so that makes it a little bit more stronger. The bone of the Starchild is half as thick as a normal skull, yet it weighs half as much. It's very light, half as thick, but yet it's stronger, very strong. The surface of the bone, of our bone, has little holes in it. That's where the bone grows. The surface of the Starchild does not have those holes. So how does it grow? Then there are microscopic fibers inside the Starchild skull, which is what makes it stronger, makes it lighter. It doesn't have to have so much calcium in it to hold it up. Starchild has tiny spaces inside that bone where we would have bone marrow. Starchild still has something in there. Our bone marrow decays and is eaten up by bacteria. The lower face is much smaller. The brow ridge, there is no brow ridge. Nothing for the eyelids to go into. There is no nose ridge either. The eye sockets are very unusual. They're about 0.7 inches at the maximum depth. Ours is 2. So their eyeballs cannot be the same as ours. Therefore, their vision is different. Okay? The optic nerve, the hole that our nerve goes through in the blood vessels, ours is in the back of the eye. This one is in the lower part of the eye, so it's different. Again, it's going to tell you how they visualize things. How does their brain affect it? The roof of the mouth is flat. Notice ours isn't. That gives us our tongue and our vocals. We can make words and stuff. So that's telling us how it ate, how it talked, that type of thing. The chewing muscles are very, very small. Ours wraps around our head like a hand. If you put your hand right up by your ear and chew, you'll feel the whole muscle tissue right there. And it moves and it talks. So this one's not going to be as big. So it's going to have a different chewing system, a different mouth, which equates to the smaller jaw. The ears, much lower on the face, even lower than what Hollywood shows. It's way down here, below our ears. But yet, the ear space, the inner canal of the ear, is twice the size of ours. So it's going to have something differently how it hears. And think about it, there's no sound in space. So whatever little sound he may hear in space, he's got to have a bigger inner ear to hear it. Okay? The neck muscles are half the size of ours. It's got a very, very tiny neck, which is what we always hear about from our abductees. A tiny neck. Forget the head's bigger. It has to be lighter for that little neck to hold it up. There is no external protuberance. Now, if you'll feel the back of your head, there is a bump that sticks out. That's where all the muscles attach to hold your neck up. Well, this one doesn't have any, and the neck muscles are smaller. How does it hold this big head up on such a little body? Kind of has something to do with gravity. It's kind of interesting. The internal occipital protuberance, which of course hopefully you can't feel, that's what holds the brain up. This one has a very small one, but it also has a very large brain. How does that work? Okay. The back of the head is very flat and very wide, but it's not completely flat. We've all heard about cradle boarding. You put a baby on a papoose board so the head doesn't rock around. When you put that skull flat on a hard surface, it doesn't move. You put the Starchild skull on a flat surface, it wiggles. So it's flattened, it's wider, but it's not cradle boarded. Okay, and that's what a lot of the doctors and scientists will do. We'll take it to them, and they'll say, oh, that's just cradle boarding hydrocephalic. In other words, it's got water on the brain and it's just cradle boarded. Can't be. It wiggles. Okay? It also has a crease in the middle, so it kind of looks like it's heart-shaped. So that's going to have something to do, you know, the hemispheres of our brain, how it's shaped, and our brain has got a right and left hemisphere. So there's something weird going on there. If it was hydrocephalic, that ridge in the middle wouldn't be there. It'd be bulged out. So that kind of, again, will tell the docs, it's not cradle boarded, it's not hydrocephalic. However, they're going to throw me out of the room, and they have, and just say, go away, it's cradle boarded hydrocephalic. They ignore the facts. They ignore the physical facts right in front of them. It changes their paradigm, and it changes their income. The minute they have to walk outside that box, their income goes down the tubes because they become quacks. So understand what I'm up against, what we're up against, and that's why you're here, right? The other thing is that the Starchild brain capacity is 1,600 cc's. Okay, 30 cc's is an ounce. Do the math. I'm not going to. But A normal adult is 1,600. The brain of the woman that was found next to it was 1,400. The Starchild is 1,600. Normal brain capacity of an adult is 1,400. Normal brain capacity of a child is 1,200. When you have 200 cc's more brain capacity, you have a different species. Neanderthal has 200 cc's more brain capacity than we do. It's a different species. Take that to scientists, they ignore it, crater-bored hydrocephalic. End of story, go away. Now, Starchild had 2 rows of teeth. Actually, it's 3 rows when you look on the x-ray. There's 2 teeth down, and there's 2 rows up. We only have 2 rows of teeth when we're born. Our baby teeth come out, we get our adult teeth. We lose those, we get false teeth. Okay, so it's got 3 rows of teeth. Not normal at all. Yet, it shows wear and tear on the teeth that it ate normal food that we eat at the time that the woman that was found with it was eating. They had normal wear and tear. It cannot be a child if it has that normal wear and tear as if it's been eating for 12, 14, 15 years. So, again, it can't be crater-bored hydrocephalic because it ate. The teeth were warm. The brain size. Check this out. That's the Starchild on your left. Okay? A normal human's brain is on the right. So look at the brain capacity. See how big the inside of that skull is. And see how big the inside of our skull is. Now, right down here is where all of our cortex of our breathing, all of our non-voluntary stuff. So what keeps our heart going down here. And you can see how convoluted it is a little bit. But down here, it's straight, it's even. There's no ridges or anything. So we just don't know what the brain looked like, except for it was different. Okay? It has no frontal sinuses. Starchild over here. And this is the normal human skull that was found with it. Okay? I want you to understand, I'm showing you pictures of both, comparing at the same time with the people that were found at the same time. Both of these skulls are 900 years old, and they were found at the same time. A normal human, you and I, have, where am I? Sinuses in the front. That's what gives us our ability to talk. It's also what gives us our tone. If we didn't have sinuses, we talk like this, okay? We all know what a sinus infection makes us talk like, okay? If you are born without sinuses, number one, you're not born without sinuses. But there are people that are born with very, very small sinuses. About 5% of the population are born with very, very small sinuses. But not one, maybe 1% are born without sinuses. So they do have, it does happen. So when we talk that, when I first heard that, I was like, slam dunk, we've got an alien. You know, you take that to doctors, it happens. It's in the papers. You look it up on the internet. Remember, you can't believe everything on the internet, okay? Wikipedia is not the internet. It's not an encyclopedia. But, so this one doesn't have sinuses, but the head is larger. The neck is behind the front of the face. How does it hold it up with that tiny neck and those muscles and that big of a brain? Think about it. Has to do with gravity. Has to. If you can think. If you're a doctor, well, maybe not. Okay? I mean, I'm not trying to say doctors are stupid, but I've taught them, so let's just leave it at that. Okay? Here's the Starchild again on the left. And here's the skull that was found with it. Now, we did this cut in my garage, and my husband did the cut. A normal blade cut this. We had to get a diamond bit to cut the Starchild. That's how strong it is. And you want to talk about stink? When we cut that, it was the worst thing that I've ever smelled. And the normal skull didn't smell that bad, but the Starchild did. It was really rank. So, and look at, you can see the inside, I think, I just now noticed this. This is the bones, and they're normal. They're the same kind of bone, the same number of bones, they're just misshapen. So you can't really, I don't know. I don't know what it is and what makes it that. That's why I'm interested, is why. I don't really care if it's alien. I don't really care if it's another species. I want to know what makes it different and what can we engineer out of that. Because I know it's different and I don't have a problem believing in aliens. Okay? Doesn't bother me at all. Fibers. These are the fibers we found. This is inside the bone. This was found under an electron microscope in the UK. So what are those? It's not ever found in any other normal bone. Not human, not any animal. It's not found in any bone on this planet that we have seen thus far. So this is interesting. This is what makes it so strong, or in my opinion, makes it so strong. Now, at the time that we found this, there was no instruments that could get this out. So we don't know what this is. But it's interesting. It requires more research. And more time, because technology has to keep up with it. Has to get up to this point that we can get a small enough instrument to even pull it out. So, you know, the research that we're having, we, human beings, are having to catch up with to do the research. That's why it's taken so long. There's strange residue inside the bone. These holes are where our bone marrow is. Now, after a couple of decades, we don't have any bone marrow left in our bones after we die because there are bacteria that eat that up. Well, this red residue is 900 years old. So where did it come from? And why hasn't it been eaten up by bacteria here on this planet? We don't know. Speculation is it's bone marrow. Red blood cells. Speculation is our bacteria can't eat it because it's not what they need. I don't know. Again, we haven't found anybody or a way to get that out of that tiny pore, that tiny space. So once technology gets here and once we can talk the scientists into putting their reputation on the line or doing it off book until they find out what it is, it's a question. The chemical composition. We actually put this through what's called a mass spectrometry. If you've been watching CSI or any of those things, you know they can do that in about, 5 minutes? I think it takes a little bit longer. But I want you to notice, the human skull over here, we've got carbon, oxygen, phosphorus, chloride. Notice here we've got carbon. A little bit different. Notice here we've got oxygen. A little bit different. Starchild's requiring a little bit more oxygen. I wonder why. If it's from space, not a whole lot up there. But I think the main interesting one here is this Al. That's called aluminum. There is no Al in us. Aluminum has been shown to have something to do with Alzheimer's. Okay? And other things. If we have aluminum in our bones, we're dead. Dead. But this one has a big amount of aluminum, and it lived long enough to eat and the bones to grow together. So, why? We don't know. I'll get to why that is significant to me later on. The eye sockets, again, Starchild, over here. See how narrow they are, how shallow they are? Here's the foramen, where all the blood vessels, and this is the normal skull on that side. But see where that is? It's right back in the back. That's how come we can see color. That's where all of our color sensories are. Well, Starchild may not need to see color because it lives in darkness. May not need to have as big of an eyeball as we have because there's not a lot to see. Or, remember the almond-shaped eyes? Maybe that's why they have a bigger field of vision because their neck muscles are smaller. Maybe they can't turn their head as much. Who knows? But it's interesting, and it matches with descriptions of people who have seen these guys. So are they crazy? I think not. Again, here we go. The foramen. This is the cool part. It changes the way they view. Their vision and the way their brain is going to deal with the vision. That's why their brain capacity may be different. Okay, the worn teeth. Here's the teeth. And if you will notice, maybe a cavity, and it's worn down. It's not flat. So it ate corn. It ate the normal stuff of that time that those people ate. And it's not a child. You don't have that worn of a teeth if it's a child. So when they tell me cradle-boarded hydrocephalic kid, no, can't be. Can't be. It's not a deformity. This is Dr. Ted Robinson. He's one of the first facial reconstructive surgeries we took it to in Vancouver. I'm not going to read everything he said, but basically he's been in the field for a lot of years. He's seen everything out there. He's done reconstructive surgeries on the cranium. And he definitely believes that after 2 years of looking at it, it's very unique. It's nothing that's ever seen there. It's an anomaly. It's significant. In short, it's unique. Throughout the past history, it's never been seen before. This is a significant find. It requires research. It requires research. It requires somebody to take notice. And I hope that's why you're here. Take notice. This is real science. It's not just a bunch of people in a room like this saying, oh, there are aliens out there. These are all the people that have seen it. We've had it all over the world. We've had it in Europe, in the UK. So it's not just in America. It's everywhere throughout the world that has looked at this. Vancouver, the British Columbia, UK. We've had genetic testing done on it. We're going to go into that. DNA. DNA. This is the key, because without DNA, nobody's going to care, right? You've got to have the scientific proof. Well, there are two types of DNA. We have the mitochondrial DNA, which is found outside the nucleus in our cells. That comes from mom. That's going to tell us who the mom is. The nuclear DNA comes from both. So that's going to tell us who dad is. So we can tell who you're from, like CSI. If you've got a brother or a cousin that killed somebody, they're going to come to you and say who did it. Okay? But it takes longer than an hour to do DNA testing. That's why 15 years down the road, we still don't know. Remember, we're working on a 900-year-old skull. It's an ancient relic. That takes time. We've got to get it. Oh, and money. CSI doesn't do it for free. Okay? Everyone has mitochondrial DNA from moms, nuclear from dads. DNA is that base pair. The little rings on the ladder. Okay? Remember? I'll tell you right now, DNA became into effect in 1856, but they didn't realize it was a helix until 1930. Didn't even start the Human Genome Project until 1999. Did not finish it until 2003. We started our work in 1999. So it took them 4 years to figure out us. It's going to take a little bit longer to figure out this. Okay? Because remember, we're still living. It's easy to get our DNA. We're not dead yet. Okay, some of us feel it, especially this early. Okay? It's a new species. It's a new species. There are over 16,000 pairs, base pairs, in human DNA. We can have a variation of 120 base pairs and be okay. That's what makes us different. Okay, Neanderthal has 80 different variations. It's an entirely new species. Based on the DNA we've recovered so far, we have over 800 variations between the Starchild DNA and us. 200 variations makes Neanderthal. What do you think 800 variations make? If nothing else, it's a totally new species, never before seen. Will we ever be able to say it's an alien? Not until we get one that we can test it to. Okay? So let's not, go above board and say it's an alien at this point in the lecture. I'll say it at the end. Okay, here's the statistics. Nice little graphic. Humans, 120 different variations. Neanderthals, 200. Deanzieva, 385. You may not have heard of this one because this is another species that is pre-human. Now, if you ever remember your biology and they try to tell you that, it's all evolution, that we are related to Neanderthals, no, we're not at all. Okay, it's a different species. That's a whole nother field. It's called human evolution or the intervention theory. Lloyd Pye wrote about it. Zachariah Sitchin wrote about it. It's way too over my head. Okay? Starchild has over 800 to 1,000 variations if we do the math and we pull it all the way out. But yet chimpanzees, animals, 1,500. So new species, if nothing else. The DNA that we recovered in 2010, now we've done 3 or 4 DNA testing. Now understand when you're doing scientific testing, you have to be able to reduplicate it and come up with the same results. So that being said, you go onto Wikipedia, you go onto our website, you're going to see different studies that say different things. So I'm just giving you the latest information with the latest technology with the geneticist that is going to stay on with us to the end. Okay? In that, we found both mitochondrial and nuclear DNA, which is unique. We sent that through the National Institute of Health, which has the massive database of all DNA that has been tested on this planet, to include animals, bacteria, anything that's alive that has DNA. Plants don't have DNA, so it's not a problem. So we've tested it against all of those. We made the parameters very large so that if anything hit human, it would. And we found that though some of the code is similar to humans, a large amount is not found on this planet, not in any other species. Now, why would it be similar to humans? It lived and it ate here on planet Earth. So it has to be similar in some way because it metabolized things that we metabolize. Okay? Understand that, here's the slide. Now this is straight from the NIH. This is the paperwork that we have showing no significant similarities found. No significant similarities found. So that's the government telling me that there's no significant. But yet doctors and scientists are going to tell me it's crater-boarded hydrocephalic, go away. See a problem? So how can this be? We have FOXP2 gene. We found that. We found a little portion of it. Our FOXP2 has to do with our communication skills, our ability to communicate. It's a super gene. In humans, there is no variation. If you have one difference between you and your father or you and this person sitting next to me, you should not be alive. There are no differences in humans. However, in this FOXP2, we found 56 different variations. 56 different variations. Now, if you do the math, because we only got a small bit out of it, but if you do the math, you're looking at over 100 different variations. But it's crater-boarded hydrocephalic. Go away. I don't think so. It lived long enough to eat and the bones to fuse. It can't be crater-boarded hydrocephalic human and live that long. It just can't be. But it's crater-boarded. And remember the big brain capacity? Remember what I showed you in the back behind where our ears would be? That's our communication area. Remember how big that was? So it communicated differently. Now when you talk to and you hear about abductees, they're all being communicated to via telepathically or some other form of communication. Plus, they're going to have to understand all of our different languages and accents and everything. So they're going to have a bigger brain capacity and be able to be able to computate that kind of information. But it's just cradle-boarded hydrocephalic, no big deal. So the FOXP2 differences. Here we are. Here's us at the very end. No differences. A rhesus monkey, 2. An elephant, 21. Your dog can communicate a lot better than you can. It's got 27. And then we got this little crabby thing here with 26, but there's 56 different variations in the Starchild. But it's cradle-boarded, hydrocephalic, go away. How can DNA be human-like, but not previously found on this earth? Basically, it's because they metabolize some of the same things that we do. That's all it is. We share DNA with other things. Doesn't make them all human. Okay? We've all heard that we share 96% with a chimpanzee. Does that make us monkeys? Does that make us related to monkeys? No. It just means that we live on the same planet. Okay? Now, I do have a brother-in-law that is kind of ape-like, but that's totally different. Cats, my cat's 90% like me. A fruit fly is 60% like me. Dang, I wish I could try. Baker's yeast, my bread, is 26% like me. Different species, but it has some of the same genetic makeup as I do, and as you do. But you're just cradle-boarded hydrocephalic, okay? That's all it is. Okay? Many of us have the same stuff. It's because we metabolize the same stuff. We live in the same environment. We survive in the same environment. That's how we have so much DNA in common. Can there be mutations? Of course. In a laboratory, we can do anything. How many of you have seen the rat with the ear on the back? In a lab, we can do anything. But will it live long enough to eat? Long enough for bones to fuse? No. In normal humans, in normal babies, it's been my experience that if you have 2 deformities, 2 structural deformities, you might live 2 to 3 years. Might. But if you have 3 or more, you're not going to make it out of the uterus. You're miscarried. That's our normal way of keeping these genetic issues out of the way. This one has 24 differences, just structurally. There's no way it can be cradle-boarded hydrocephalic human. Go away. Okay, you just kind of want to slap these people when they tell you that over and over and over. It can't be. Starchild again lived long enough for the bones to fuse and long enough for the teeth to wear. It ate, it lived long enough. And normal kids that are born, not normal, kids that are born with that many defects don't make it out of uterus, don't make it past 2 years old. I've seen it. I'm talking from experience. Okay? I'm not talking off of Wikipedia or the internet. Okay? No human can live with that many deformities long enough to eat as much as this thing did. So, you can make any combination of DNA in the lab. If you've been around the UFO field, and you will hear many times that they are genetically messing with different things and the hybrids and all of that, well, this kind of makes sense to me. You know, if you have an open enough mind, if you think outside that box. Does it make it alien? Well, until we have an alien that claims that they're really an alien, we don't know. But, as you can see, this is what the renditions people will report, and this is what a forensic reconstructive person showed us. Now, I want you to be understanding, when anybody does forensic reconstructions on something this weird, they're still got to computate it, they're still got to think it through their mind, and they're going to put human things on it. Okay? So, is this reality? I don't know, but that's this person's rendition. Okay? What they think it might look like. Is that true? I don't know. But that's what they came up with. We had multiple different things on our website. And you can go look at them, and some of them look way too human, you know, but they've put hair on it, they put eye color in it. We had a reconstruction with the clay, and when we asked the guy, you know, well, how did you get the eyeball in there? He said, oh, I just cut it in half. So they have to go through their human brain as to how to fix this. So they don't know. So when you look at these things, just understand it's going through your process, just like any other artist, they're putting their perception onto it, okay? We don't know, but these are some guesses. The alien eyes, again, let's go back through those. This is what's really cool, because we see in color, we see in three-dimensional, we can turn our head. Well, this guy obviously has a different way of viewing things. He has a different way. This is why a lot of people see the almond-shaped eyes. They have a bigger field of vision because they may have a hard time turning their head. They also have a different vision because they're in the dark. You look at animals that live in caves, their eyes are different than ours. The way they think, the way they visualize is different. So there's got to be something going on here with the way the brain is working on how they see and what they have to see through. Now, we have found recently that astronauts' eyes tend to flatten when they've been up in space for a long period of time. So that kind of gives us an indication that maybe this thing lived in space and has flattened eyeballs. So we're understanding things as we go along. We didn't know this when we started out because they didn't start doing the studies until about 3 years ago. So astronauts' vision is different if they've lived up on the space shuttle very long. Okay? Oh, astronauts' bones are different if they've lived up on the space shuttle very long. They come back and they have osteoporosis because they have no weight up there. But this thing has got stronger bones because it's got the fibers in it. Kind of interesting. But it's just great aborted hydrocephalic, go away. Again, 6 months in zero gravities, their eyeballs flatten. Really weird. So that just tells me that this thing has to have spent years in space or be genetically programmed that way. The bone marrow, again, we have that red residue. It wasn't eaten up. Over 900 years it laid in the ground and it wasn't eaten up by bacteria on this planet. I still can't wait to get that test done. That nabbit, we were just a little bit more advanced, like they are. Human bone marrow is completely consumed by bacteria. The decomp bacteria that decompose. Okay. So we don't know what that red residue is. I'm just saying it's bone marrow because it's easy to understand. We don't know. Okay? We don't even know if they have red blood. Okay? I will tell you that I don't think they're green. But that's just my opinion. Has anybody heard of us before? If you haven't, it's because you blinked. We've been on a lot of different TV shows. We were on Ancient Aliens. We got a really good spot on Ancient Aliens in February. It's on demand. It's on YouTube. Of course, you have to pay for it. But we have been on numerous TV stations, numerous radio stations. Coast to Coast has had us, I don't know how many times. And of course, if you're going to any of these UFO conferences, you will see us around. So if you haven't heard of us, it's because you've just been blinking. So get out there and look it up. Okay, UFO Hunters did a really good thing on us. William Shatner on Weird or What did a really good thing on us. I thought it was really cool. Now, Lloyd Pye was my original researcher. He passed away in December, and it's just been really hard for us. So we're trying to regroup now and get going again. So I'm out here trying to, keep the public aware of it. But we do have a group of people, the Starchild Project Research Group. There are 5 of us now, since Lloyd's passed. We have a company, so we are really a legitimate company, really doing strong research. We have a website. If you want, our accounting books are open to the public. Okay, right now we got about $1,000 in the bank. DNA testing, A little bit more than that. Okay? So what's next? Lloyd's passed. What do we do now? We have to finish what we started. We have to finish the research. I promised Lloyd that I would see this through to the end, because he promised me he would do that too. His end just came before we were finished. Current testings. We actually have a lab that's willing to go on the record saying they'll do it. However, they won't do it until they get the money. Can't buy a car until the money's in the car dealership, right? When we started out 15 years ago, we were estimating $7 million. Remember, the human genome hadn't even been done yet. So the price has come down significantly. So if you happen to have $250,000, that will give me a minimum of 2 years to get it done. So I'll take your checks out front. Okay? However, who has that kind of money? I don't. But we have lots of things you can do. Why do you even care? Why do I care? The main thing I care about is it's not about proving aliens, because how many of you believe that there are aliens out there? How many of you believe that God is this bored that that's all he can do? Okay? I don't. So I'm not worried about is there aliens out there. My main thing is what does this have to do, and how can we use this discovery to help out mankind now? And you're like, what the heck? Well, they are doing genetic testing and genetic manipulations right now on lab rats. Lab rats that have been found to have a genetic liver disorder that kills them fairly regularly. They have been able to tweak that gene in the lab and cure genetic liver disorders in lab rats. If we can figure out the genetic issues here, what can we cure in us? That's my want. That's my goal. It's not going to happen in my lifetime. It's not going to happen in my kid's lifetime. It may not happen in my grandkids' lifetime. But in my line, in my lineage, my grandkids' kids may see that this can help them. And that's what this is about. Okay? At least to me. How can this help us? Osteoporosis. This bone is thicker. It's got aluminum in it. It's got something to hang it together. I broke my leg, took 9 months to heal. Man, if I could figure out how that worked, I wouldn't have been in a cast for 9 months. I might have gotten married sooner. Okay, because he wasn't going to ask me to marry him until I was out of the cast. So, birth defects. I've seen them all. If this can help birth defects, if it can help hydrocephalic, crater-boarded, how cool would that be? Then they couldn't say there's crater-boarding hydrocephalic anymore. Okay? Autoimmune disorders. If the bone marrow lasted this long, what can it do to autoimmune disorders? AIDS, MS, all of that kind of stuff. What about hearing and eyesight disorders? How many are losing their eyesight? Oh, I see a lot of glasses around. If we could figure out how this works, maybe we could get rid of glasses. Maybe that's why the eye doctors don't want to hear it. Okay? I mean, you have somebody that can't hear. Okay? Okay, not teenagers, because that's selective hearing. All right? Not husbands, because that's selective hearing. But people that have a hard time hearing. Okay? Oh, wait, there goes the hearing aids. Okay, so now we're hitting people where their money is. That's why we're having a hard time. We're interfering with their income. They don't want to believe it. They don't want to take it on because it's interfering with their income. Speech disorders. Wow, if you had somebody that was mute that could communicate to you, wouldn't that be cool? Helen Keller would be really cool if she could figure out what happened here. The list goes on and on of what this potentially can do for us. It's not just about proving it's aliens. Now, people on my team, that's all they want to know. They just want to be able to say, it's an alien, let's put it in a museum, cool, go on. And that's okay. You're allowed to have where you want this to end. But that's not where it can end. It can end way down the line. It can help out so many different things. Maybe my dog will learn how to talk to me and I won't have to figure out what all that barking's about. What can you do? You can donate your time. I've got plenty of things I need somebody to do for me. Okay? They're just as time consuming. I got computer work. I need people to help me edit our website. I can't spell. Sometimes it doesn't read right. If you want to edit our website, please email me. We'll fix it. If you want to, I need somebody to get me a spreadsheet on all the YouTube videos out there on us so that we can put it on our website and it's one to go. That's time consuming. I don't have time for that. If you want to donate money, hey, I'll take it. You know now how much it's going to cost us. Hopefully, if it only takes 2 years. Donate your knowledge. Anybody who's willing to say something besides hydrocephalic cradle boarding, please let me know. Because I don't want to hear hydrocephalic cradle boarding anymore because I know it's not true. And you do too. What you can do is tell everybody you know that this is happening and that this is coming down. It's happening now. And get them online, get them up to speed, and get them out of that box. That's the key. Get them out of the box. You can become a supporter. Go to our website and you can buy supporter packages. We have a silver package for $25. You get an embossed certificate saying I support you. You get a booklet of all the different variations of what we've just gone over and a wonderful little wristband that you get to wear around and look funky with. For $50, you get everything above and you get a 3D crystal, which we have a copy of outside and it's for sale. And you get that and your name on our supporter certificate. So you can hang it on your wall and say, hey, I was a part of this. I helped figure out all of this cool stuff. It'll be worth something, if nothing else. Now, if that's not up to your liking, give me a call, give me an email, and we'll find something else. Right now we have some t-shirts for sale. They're only $15. What we have is what we have. It's a limited edition. You buy one, you have something that nobody else will have. Okay? We have the resin skull. I've got a copy of it out there. The one I have here is already sold. You're welcome to order one. They're $250. Is all we need to come up with this money is $833 a month. That's all I need. Oh, wait, that's not right. 25 people to come up with that. Or we need to make sales on our internet for $200 a month, and we can get it done. So that's all I'm asking for. It's a tiny amount of money. How many of you go to Starbucks? Give up Starbucks for a month and give me that money. Or give the Starchild Project that money. I guarantee you, I've not made any money off of this. There is no money to be made. All of my extra income, all of our team, we donate our time and our money and our efforts. So please understand, this is not about me making money. It's not about my team making money. It's about making this happen. Okay? It's about making this happen. So I want you to keep up with us. StarchildProject.com. That's our original, the official information. If you want to know just about the differences, we're trying to come up with explanations for it. We're updating that one. That's StarchildSkull.com. Follow me on Facebook, facebook.com/Starchild. You can contact anybody on our team through contact@StarchildProject.com. You can contact me directly at melanie@StarchildProject.com. I will answer every email. I answer everything on Facebook. So please, anything you've got to ask, anything you want to say, you want to talk about your experiences, what you think, I'll be glad to talk to you. I've got no problem with that. I'm retired. I'd rather do that than clean houses. So that's fine. All right? So I'm here for you. And I want to give you the answers, but I want you to be here for us. I want you to be here for us. That's the whole key. This started out as a grassroots project. I want it to stay that way. I don't want to give this to the government. But I'll tell you right now, I'm not dying for it. If they want it, they can have it. Okay? So now it's up to you. Do you want the government to confiscate it and hide it like they've done everything else? Or do you want these answers? That's why I'm saying demand answers. Okay? Now I'll tell you, we haven't had any government interference that we're aware of. We just get the usual cradle-boarded hydrocephalic, we're not going to listen to you, go away. Okay? So that's pretty much it in a nutshell. I could go into all the science and then you could fall asleep on me, but I don't want to do that. It's early. Any questions? Yes, sir.
The foundation are desperate to spend money in any kind of project. One particular project in the world Why don't you contact the
Which ones?
thousands?
Give me some. Give me a name. Let me know which ones, because we have tried.
Not gonna do that.
They've done stuff on us and they won't take on the project. We've been on their TV show, but they won't take on the project. Yeah. Bill Gates, he's not interested. We can't get through the front door. Remember, all these people with money, they have people stopping you from asking them for money. They didn't get their money for just for fun, to give it away. Bill Gates would rather buy new uniforms for the football team that he supports. So they have new uniforms every game. Yeah, or more vaccines that causes, autism and all that other stuff. So we've actually the lab has actually even gone to DARPA, which is the defense, DOD, and they turned us down. Okay, so I'm telling you right now, if you've got somebody that you think I need to contact, please give me that name. Email me, give it to me right now. Let me know. I will do what I can to get in. I mean, I can't even get Shirley Temple, she's dead. Shirley MacLaine, and she lives just 200 miles away from me. I can't get her to help us out, and she's into all of this. Oprah is into this, not interested. Won't talk to us. We've already tried. We can't get past the gatekeeper. That's just it. We got to get past that person, the gatekeeper. We can't do it. We don't know how. I mean, Lloyd has been to LA and tried to talk to Spielberg. We can't get through. There are gatekeepers to stop you from asking them for money. Yes, sir. We did an Indiegogo project, and it was our first one. And basically, we were able to raise 10,000, right?
No, not quite that much.
Not even quite that much.
500.
Yeah. So, but we're beginners. This is all new. So yeah, we're getting there. We're trying. But we're all just a bunch of volunteers. I'm a nurse. Lloyd was a researcher. He wasn't into making money. He can go talk to anybody and tell he's just so excited about it, but he doesn't know how to ask for money. So Amy, she's in Ireland. She's dealing with the IRA stuff over there. Our geneticist, he can't come out. He can't come out of the closet because he'll lose his job. He'll lose his reputation in the field. So he can't come out. So, the lab won't even let us say it until we get the contract. This is thinking outside the box. This is hitting people where their money is. It's going to change how the general population views science and views everything we've been taught. So it's going to change. It's going to affect their pocketbook and their reputation and their career. So the scientists involved, or that don't want to be involved, they don't want to be involved for that reason. They don't want to be considered quacks and lose their job and lose their grants and lose everything. That's what it's about. I didn't come out as owning it until I retired. For that very reason, it was going to affect my pocketbook. I would have lost my neonatal job. I did a lot of things behind the curtains where people didn't know it was me. So I wouldn't lose my credibility. I didn't tell them I was going to UFO conferences. I was going on vacation, none of your business. They didn't need to know that because you're a quack. Now, you ask me one-on-one, be careful what you ask, I will answer it. So, I'm a very honest person, so don't ask if you don't want to know the answer. My mother learned that way a long time ago. Anything else? How are we doing on time?
When you received the skull, did you provide any compensation for the person?
No. They basically gave it to me and said, please take it away and don't tell anybody where you got it. They were afraid of it. The person that found it, her husband was in law enforcement. Okay, so his reputation was on the line if he said anything about it. Now, yeah, it was on the mantle, but you didn't bring your friends home and leave it on the mantle.
So how many people
2.
were there before the original discovery?
Before I brought it out to the public, there were 2 people. Okay, the woman who found it.
Next to you.
From Mexico to me, too. I'm the third person. Okay? So the lady who found it kept it on her mantle, didn't tell anybody about it. When she passed away, she gave it to my friend. He had it for about 5 years. He was in the government, one of those little 3-letter places. And when I told him what I thought it was, he said, "Get it out of my sight. It will affect my income, and I can't afford that. And don't tell anybody where you got it from." So I have to honor that word. Now, he may want to be told later on, but he's been out of the picture for so long, it's not his, it's mine. Okay. And we had it for 3 or 4 months before we met Lloyd, and it was just so comfortable that we just handed it off to him. And he took it and ran with it. And I'm so grateful that he was willing to take that on. Yes, sir. The story that we have was right outside of Delicias, Mexico, in Chihuahua City, which is in the Copper Canyon region. So that's the story we have. But again, it's just a story. Hopefully, when we go to Presidio this year, maybe I can get somebody to take me over and we can look for some more. But we don't know. I mean, it's 900 years old. If it wasn't preserved in the cave, we wouldn't have it now. Because the cave environment kept it protected. You don't see many bones in the desert. Okay? A deer in the forest decomps in 7 days. To nothing. No bones at all. So understand that we were lucky to have found this in a cave, buried and safe. So that's probably why you don't see any more. But I don't think anybody's found any more. If they have, I'd love to see it. Now there is one on the web now. It's been going around from Peru, and he says this could be another Starchild. Well, I'll tell you right now, when I looked at it online, it was taped together. So if bones are taped together, that tells me it's an infant. Okay? So that's why I won't say for sure that it's not a Starchild, but we'll never know because the Peruvian government won't let us do any testing on it. Okay? That's where the elongated skulls are and everything. We've worked with that guy, but he can't get us any samples. Our geneticist has said, "I'll be glad to work on it," but we can't get the samples because the Peruvian government won't let it out. Okay? That's why I'm so grateful there's a little girl hiding it. Not telling mom and dad she had it. Okay? Who knows? You know, it's how many artifacts and history has been taken from countries like that, you know, the Aztecs and the Mayans and all of that stuff. You know, the crystal skulls have come out. I just saw something on Discovery the other day that 3 out of the 5 that we have been proven to be man-made since 1950. So, you know, artifacts have left countries and you know, people don't like that. That's their culture. So that's my understanding. And they won't give you a story. They won't tell you the truth. They just will say, "Not until we're ready to let you have it." And the elongated skulls have been out there for a very, very long time. So, and they've never made it to DNA testing, which I think is strange. It's sad. Anything else? Yes, sir. Yes, we've contacted universities. How many, I really, truly do not know. The list I showed you are the ones that would allow us to use their names. Okay? We've taken it to multiple universities. I took it to Texas Tech Medical Center. I took it to UTEP in El Paso. And they were more interested in the normal human skull because she had a concussion. They looked at this one, their eyes bugged out, and they pushed it away. Okay? That's what truly happened. And I was like, "You've got to be freaking kidding me." You know? And there was a little, it was in a garage. So there was a little speck of latex paint on the normal human skull, and they were like, "I wonder what that is." I picked it off. I said, "It's latex paint." You know? So they were more interested in this 900-year-old normal thing, but they sure as heck didn't want to look at this. They literally pushed it away. So, yes, we've taken it to them, but I really can't tell you how many because most of them just really, literally chased Lloyd Pye out of the room. You know, and I think at one occasion they said, "Do I need to call security?" Because he argued with them. I mean, you know, he was like, he would get in their face. Can't be, look at this. Can't be, look at this. Can't be, look at this. So that's kind of where we are.
Let's give a big hand to Melanie.
We appreciate Melanie and her husband Ray coming all the way down from El Paso. They'll be at their table if you'd like to visit with them during the 15-minute break that we're about to go into. I don't want anybody to stray too far from here because one of the world's leading UFO researchers, Dr. Kevin Randall, is going to present an amazing topic on how the U.S. government, and he should know because he's been in the military for many years, served in Vietnam, served in Iraq, has been in military intelligence. He's going to talk about how the U.S. government has been covering up proof of the existence of UFOs and extraterrestrials visiting our planet for many, many decades. So Dr. Kevin Randall is going to speak on the government UFO files in about 15 minutes. You guys go ahead and take a break, and we'll be back here at exactly 10:30.